light shine. We're so much more when we unite.
Is that working?
Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we
Welcome. Welcome, everyone. All right. Welcome. Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much for being here today at this place of love, laughter, learning, and all of it, all those feel-good things. How many people are here for the very first time? Never been here before. Today? I know that's right. Thank you, Cheryl. Very first time today. If you are in this building for the very first time in your life, I really, really appreciate you because there's so many different places you could have chosen to be today, including being in your bed. Welcome back, my brother. And so you chose to be here today, and so I'm very, very grateful to have you here. Oh my goodness, someone drove 2 hours to be here? Wow, you get the reward for furthest traveled. Fantastic. Man, we get people who come from all over the world and touch down here to this beautiful soft place to land is what Cindy calls these places. So this place to land, and I just really appreciate each and every one of you. And so just to tell you a little bit about ourselves, we are one of very many centers for spiritual living, and this is Center for Spiritual Living Ocala. And what we are about is that we have a vision here is that we are a model center for spiritual living as evidenced by the transformational impact we have in our spiritual community, the CSL organization, which is the bigger organization, over 400, I think, maybe thereabouts, different centers all over the world, and the community at large. And that's not even to touch New Thought, period, the whole big umbrella that is New Thought, including our brothers and sisters at Unity. Oh man, I just love that we're a part of something this big, and this movement is so needed and vital right now in our world. Our mission, and I hold this very close to my heart, and that's why I'm still here, because I'm following this, is to empower individuals to awaken to the power and presence that lies within and all around them so that they may live their very best lives. And if you are about that, then you are in the right place. And our values, we chose this as a community, and we'll be doing this again in a little bit. If it rings true for you, and this is a value for you, I invite you to repeat it after me. Spiritual growth and practice.
Spiritual growth and practice.
Love.
Love.
Appreciation. Community. Freedom. Creativity. Health and wholeness. Generosity. Financial well-being. Fantastic. I'm so glad that that lines up with you, because I love hanging out in the same pool with folk who feel like me. Thank you so much. I love you. And so we are also saying welcome, welcome to those online, those of you who have joined us now in this moment or later on, those of you who are going to be joining us for millennia to come when they dig up the archives and hear this again. And today we are just so grateful that we have an amazing, dynamic speaker with us. And before she speaks, I'm going to ask Dr. Peggy Hostetler to please do the science, affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment.
Talking. Yeah, this is the title of my talk today. What I'm doing now is a spiritual mind treatment, is an affirmative prayer. It's also our opening for our celebration and spiritual time together today. So I invite you to let it sink into your heart what I'm saying, and also see it as an example of what I'll be talking about when we get to the lecture part of this morning. So I just invite us to turn within, to know that that infinite source that is everywhere present, that which creates and sustains the whole universe, is right where we are, right here, right now. That which is all love, all peace, all joy, all abundance, all creativity, all divine order, is welcoming us here this morning, for it is everywhere present. And as we open to that and allow ourselves to align with that understanding, those qualities of the divine become qualities of us, which they have always been. And our recognition of them invites us to up-level to that knowingness. I give thanks for each person here today, knowing that what we are about this morning will lift and bless us all. That by your presence here today, each person brings with them their understanding of their spiritual nature, of the love that they are, of the blessedness that they take with them wherever they go, and that they brought it here to share it with us today. I give thanks for all the good that is forever pouring itself upon us, and especially for the good that is pouring it upon us today through our music, through our interactions, through the hugs we've already received this morning, for the good that takes place within these walls throughout the week that have helped to prepare the building for us to enjoy our time together today, as well as lift the consciousness of this surrounding to be that which is the very highest and best for us. So much to give thanks for this morning. And I release it into the law of mind, knowing that since these are ideas of truth, God is speaking through these words. Spirit is saying these words through our mentalities as we open to them and receive them and accept them, and the highest and best unfolds. I release this knowing it is already done, and let us say together, and so it is.
Thank you so much, Dr. Peggy. And so now I'd like to introduce some really awesome people that we have been playing with for a while now, but now have made it official. So officially, I'd like to introduce you to the new Joyful Expressions, and we're going to be singing a song that is near and dear to one of our performers' heart, which is Magic.
Come take my hand. You should know me. I've always been in your mind. No, I will be kind. I'll be guiding you, building your dream. As we start now, there's no other road to take. Won't make a mistake. I'll be guiding dreams alive for you. From where I stand, you are home free. The planets align, it's so rare. This promise in the air, and I'm guiding you. Near you, I'll come anytime you call. I'll catch you when you fall. I'll be guiding you. You have to believe we are magic. Nothing can stand in our way. You have to believe we are magic. Don't let your aim ever stray. And before you all survive, destiny will arrive. I'll bring all your dreams alive for you. I'll bring all your dreams alive for you. You have to believe we are magic. Nothing can stand in our way. You have to believe we are magic. Don't let your aim ever stray. And before you all survive, destiny will arrive. I'll bring all your dreams alive for you. I'll bring all your dreams alive for you.
Thank you so much, Joyful Expressions. One more time, y'all. One more time. It's not that many practices, and we are still learning how to blend ourselves together, but we are singing. COVID came along and put a skirt to the singing there for a little bit, and even though it's still trying to get us, we have decided that we can step forward in faith, knowing that we are okay to sing together again once more. So thank you so much to those who, I know it was nerve-wracking for some of y'all. I mean, it was a lot of shaking happening up here. But one more time, y'all. They need to feel that love. We did a great job. We did a great job. So at this time, once again, I wanted to introduce, when I first came to the center, Reverend Peggy Hostetler was the minister here. And, you know, you remember Cheryl. Cheryl's part of our original Joyful Noise team. You know, Cheryl was part of Joyful Noise. And so when we found this center, it was like finding water when you're dying of thirst. You know, when the Bible talks about that stream of living water, this was it for me. And when I found this, it felt as if something opened inside of me, and that's why I keep telling people they will never get rid of me here. As long as y'all are still doing this teaching, I am here because I have tested it. Over 15 years, my family went through severe trauma to come into this space, to be loved on and accepted. And when this woman looked at me and said, think about your child, ADHD always dialed into a higher dimension. The enthusiasm of your children. I've never heard anybody call my hyperactive child before enthusiastic. That is not the language that was being used to paint my child. as I was trying to figure out the medication dose and watching my son slowly turn into somebody that I did not recognize. And here comes this wonderful person, and she said, the enthusiasm of your children is wonderful, and if you teach them to control that energy and to wield that power, then what could happen and be possible for them? And I stepped into the realm of wonder with my kids, and I have learned so much as a result, and I started to realize that they are higher beings, and I have been gifted with them to help guide them in a prickly world. Higher beings always dialed in to that higher dimension. So thank you. It saved me, and it saved my children and my family. Reverend Dr. Peggy Hostetler, y'all are in for a treat, y'all. She retired, and here she is. So thank you so much.
Isn't Donna wonderful? Yeah. That song I requested, and so it was just, it's such a treat for me to see you all singing it up here, and I didn't know Erin was going to sing it, so that was a surprise. I knew that Norma knew the song and said she could do it, and just now I discovered that she wasn't the one singing it, although maybe I'll ask her to sing it to me personally later, because she can do that. And it was a new song, even though I did see Xanadu years ago. It's an Olivia Newton-John song. And if you've got a smart speaker, just ask it to play Magic by Olivia Newton-John and get that upliftment all the time. I ask for it every morning lately. It reminds me of good things. Okay, so it talks about your dream coming alive, doesn't it? That's really what this teaching is all about. If you've walked in the door here for the very first time, we're about living our dreams. And as I was thinking about this talk for quite a few weeks, you know, when I spoke every Sunday here for 20 years, I didn't have months to plan a talk. But to plan a talk around something that I've been studying for 40 years and more, and using in my life, and finding a way to get it down concise so that I don't keep you here for weeks talking about it. We'll stay on a regular schedule this morning. My dream was that all of you, if you don't already know, can learn to pray so that you get results regularly from your prayers. And that's one of the real gifts of our teaching, because our founder, Ernest Holmes, was one that wanted to make it practical, to teach things in a scientific way. Is this mic not going to work for me? Are you here? Do you hear the feedback that I'm hearing? Is it troubling anyone but me? Well, it's clear. It's just I hear something. It reminds me of the time that I spoke out in the garden. We used to have services in the garden, and there was a mockingbird one Sunday that was competing with me. And nobody else heard that mockingbird, but it was really kind of distracting for me. But I moved through it. It was fine. So here we are. My dream for you is that if you have dreams, to know that you can use affirmative prayer to make your dreams come true. And if you haven't used prayer to make your dreams come true, I invite this morning to be an introduction to that. And if you feel some resistance, I just invite you to set it aside and keep an open mind. Because it's something that many of you in this room have proven, and I have been proving it for decades in my life, and in the lives of people that attended this center over a couple decades, and also I continue to do today. Okay. Now this will move it forward, right? There we go. So I live out in the Ocala National Forest on Lake Kerr, or on a canal that leads out to Lake Kerr, and I am blessed with some wildlife out there, and I just thought I'd share this with you. These are this is a new family this last year. I'll send you the photo if you want it, anybody. But these were babies that have grown up. One of them grew up, the other one disappeared. But I've got two families with teenagers right now. And also coming through our yards from time to time, we do have bears. And you might even see bears here in Ocala. But you live in the forest too, and you... Yeah. Okay. This was at a distance, and as soon as they saw me, they went the other way. But I did think fast enough to catch a little picture of Mama and babies. And I knew they were there. My neighbor said they were up his tree the previous week. So when I saw them that morning, I was watering things and quickly pulled my phone out and got a picture. Okay. And then I love to garden. So these are just some of the canna lilies that I had growing in my yard. And if you were to come to visit me, and I'd invite you, my younger sister says, this isn't a yard, it's a botanical garden. But it's because I've retired, and I can spend all my time in propagating new plants and having fun with that. And even this morning, I was out deadheading some pentas. And in addition to actually playing with plants, I live among these oak trees, and they speak to me. You know, you have these conversations with them, and sometimes they even request that I do something to enhance their appearance. So one of them is this. There was this gaping mouth that required some eyes. So I went to the craft store and bought 6 sets of wiggly eyes, and that's one of them. And then this other one. You know, so here we have this opportunity to co-create with God, right? Now, they're above my head. Both of these, I had to use the ladder to actually put the googly eyes, and I have 4 more sets. I thought I might walk around here today and see if you have any holes in trees that look like mouths. I need to get some goop, that good glue goop. Are you familiar with it? It's very weatherproof, and stick some eyes on trees around here. I brought them with me, actually. Yeah, so, and you could point them out to me where they might be. Okay, so now let's get back to the topic of prayer. This is our founder's words. No group of people on earth believe more in prayer than we do. Our whole theory is based not only on the belief in spirit, but in the availability of it. It's immediate response. Now that response is answered prayer, isn't it? We know that we live and move and have our being in divine life, and it's everywhere. We live in this ocean of love. More than the air that we breathe, Spirit is around and through us and fills us. And it also creates for us an opportunity for us to speak our word in faith believing and get a response. A practical response. We're not talking about praying just so that we can cope. That's not what the kind of prayer that we do in the Science of Mind is. We don't pray just to cope with things the way they are. We pray so that things can change in our lives. And that's what this is about. So you go online, and if you wanted to know how to do something, you could go to YouTube, couldn't you? And take a quick lesson on how to do whatever you wanted to do. Or you could ask Siri for an answer to questions, couldn't you? You could go to MapQuest. If you wanted a new recipe, I don't even use a recipe book anymore. I go online, and I tell it what ingredients I have and ask it for a recipe, right? So here we go, and instruction manuals. We are used to, in our world today, being able to get answers to questions. Instructions for us that we can easily follow and then get the result that we desire. And so I'm inviting us to think that with our teaching, prayer can fit that same practical application in our lives. The same things that you're used to. Now, I did go to YouTube and to WikiHow to see if they knew anything about spiritual mind treatment. No one's put it there yet. Maybe I will. Maybe I will do that. Maybe I'll do that. Because this is something that can be taught. Okay, so here we go. Here are some ground level instructions for us to see if we get on board with. We live in a universe of divine order, of unitary wholeness. Do we believe that? We live in a universe of divine order. Spirit, source, God, all good It's present everywhere all the time. Every faith tradition teaches that God is good all the time. Now, something that we speak of, perhaps more than others, is this bottom quote. Perfect source creates perfectly and is forever creating. So our founder, Ernest Holmes, said if God didn't create perfectly, the universe would have already destroyed itself. Think about it. How long has it been out there growing and expanding and working perfectly because the perfect source of everything creates perfectly. And it's always creating. And we see this in the natural world, don't we? And the thing that we teach in our teaching is that there's a perfect pattern at the center of everything, else nothing could exist. So behind the thing that's been created is the idea of the thing. And that's perfect. That's that perfect pattern. So we could say there's a perfect pattern for the earth. There's a perfect pattern for the sun. There's a perfect pattern for the moon, for the cosmos, for the solar system, for the galaxy. And there's a perfect pattern for every life form on planet Earth, including you. Now, think about where I'm going with this morning. Everything has a perfect pattern. So, Cheryl, there's a perfect pattern for you. It is your spirit. It is your essence. It is the truth of who you are, right? Okay, so the question comes, if that which is perfect is powerful to create everything in the universe and creates according to a perfect pattern for everything, why isn't everything perfect in my life? Why isn't everything perfect on our planet? So that's the thing we need to handle next. And that's the reason we pray. If everything was always perfect all the time, nobody would need to pray because you'd be having all the things you wanted all the time and everything would be perfect every moment. So there's something now for us to know that healing happens, and it's based ultimately on this statement right here, that there's a perfect pattern for us, and that perfect health is the truth of us, that perfect abundance is the truth of us, that perfect joy is the truth of us, that those are ours because, remember back in Genesis, each day, at the end of the day, God saw that it was good. What did I do? I turned it off. Didn't mean to do that. What do I do now? Turn it back on, would you, Cole? My thumb is perfect, but it pushed the wrong button. Okay. All of the manifest universe is the result of thought. You know, if we go back to Genesis, let there be light, and there was light. Let there be this, let there be that. It was things of thought. God was contemplating creation in that story as a human being revealed it to us. And this is a key also in our teaching, that God creates and then becomes that which it creates. Okay, let's keep going then. Hang in there. Thank you for the prompting. Okay, God creates and then becomes that which it creates. Years ago, the understanding was that God started things and then took a step back and disappeared, and everything's just been rolling along. But that God wasn't active in his creation. That's not what we teach in the science of mind. We teach that God creates, for example, God created the trees that we see out the window through a seed growing and becoming this palm tree that I see the trunk of right here. But God is also expressing through that palm tree at the level of the palm tree. So God is outcome from our creation. We don't actually become that thing. But then we're not God, right? So God is present in his creation. And I keep my thumb up here Okay. So all the different things that we might consider as part of nature are being created perfectly. And God is expressing. God is an emanation showing forth in all the different things. It might be a bumblebee, like I saw this morning, or it might be one of those sea creatures, or whatever it might be. And where do I point this? At you? At you, Cole? I'll point it to you. There we go. Yeah, okay, thank you, tech people. Yes. And Spirit is also now expressing as you. Each one of us, we say, is God in expression. I invite us to take that very literally this morning. We are made in the image and likeness of God. And God's forever creating, and therefore we're always creating as well. Okay? And this is the key here, that we're always tapping into that creative force that creates everything. We have one mind that we use. We don't have my own mind and your own mind. We share one mind. We have an aspect of it to use. We have perhaps our own brain, but that's moving into the possibility of we're using the one mind. There is only one ultimate consciousness in the universe, and that's what creates everything. But there are two aspects of it. There's the conscious and the subjective or subconscious. And this is key for us to understand how prayer works and how life also got the way it is that the conscious mind is like the tip of an iceberg. Maybe only 10% of your consciousness is conscious mind. The other 90% is submerged in the subjective or the subconscious. But it's the subjective that's the bridge to the infinite. Let me go back just one of those for a moment. We have a conscious mind, the one mind that we use, and we have the subjective mind, which is intelligent, but it cannot choose. The conscious mind chooses, the subjective mind only taps and creates into the universal. For example, this morning I did some handouts for us all at my computer, and I told it to print 60 copies. I had good wishes. Maybe we'll get a few more people in the room. And so here's my printer printing away. The printer could not say, oh, I'm only going to print 25. I don't want to print 60, even though she said she wanted 60 of them. This is the way our subjective mind works. It does not have the ability to choose, but it knows how to do it, whatever it might be, in connecting with the wisdom of the infinite. And it is the thing that taps the infinite. So if you had a question about how does clairvoyance or clairaudience work, how does someone know at a distance something that's happened or even is going to happen, it's because the subjective is actually a bridge to infinite mind. And some people are better at that than others. So you have some people in the room here today who are very clairvoyant. I know that's true of a lot of people that come to this teaching. Quite often there are those who are. And they simply have more of a talent of tapping into that universal to bring back information. Or maybe you have a dream that is tapping something about the future. I had a dream about my husband about a month ago. And I like to think it's a gift from Spirit. My husband is a few years older than I am. He's 96. And so I'm home most of the time and seldom come here. Once a month I come on the second Sunday because he wants me home all the time. But I had a dream about him recently, and I haven't not told him that dream, but I'll share it with you because I think it's an example of what I'm talking about here, about tapping the infinite. In the dream, he wasn't 96, he was a young man. And he came to me, and he was going to go somewhere. And he told me I could not go with him. So I hold that to my heart now as a gift from Spirit, saying that when Chick leaves this plane, he's not going to be debilitated, a man of 96. He's going to be a man in his prime, his spiritual essence, that perfect pattern that was always at the center of his being as his spirit, and that's what's going to go forth into the next life. And for us to keep in mind the kinds of things that can come to us because our subconscious is a bridge to the infinite, as well as operating all the things in our body. How many of you thought in the last few minutes how to beat your heart? Is your heart still beating? How many of you had breakfast this morning and are digesting your breakfast? Did you have to think about that? That's happening at that subconscious level, that subjective level. Now, those are great things and wonderful things, but unfortunately, some of the things in our subconscious are things that are not in alignment with truth. And that's where we get into trouble. That could be, yes. Yes, we'll get there. Cheryl wants to help me this morning. She doesn't know I work alone. Yeah. Okay, so here we are with laws. And so this is where we need to have an understanding that just like there are physical laws that are impersonal and always operating, so there are spiritual laws. And we tap the spiritual law when we pray. So gravity is holding me in place here. It's holding you in your chair. Aren't you glad? Yes. Aren't we glad for gravity? Now, gravity is always working. It's the law of gravity. But if I went up on the roof and walked off, I would probably injure myself. Now, the law of gravity didn't know that it had injured me, did it? It always works the way the law of gravity works. Now, those that are up in space are floating around in that little space station, aren't they? Because the law of gravity is not working in the same way as being on the big Earth that we are here. The same is true with the magnetic force. Some of those things are just almost magical, aren't they? Have you ever had a magnet and put a piece of paper and iron filings on top of it and see how they all lined up? And lined up in alignment with the magnetic force, which we could not see when we just looked at the magnet. The same is true with electricity. Now, the law of electricity has always been around. The moving of electrons was always a possibility, and our bodies make use of it all the time. But until we understood scientifically about electricity, we couldn't have electric lights, could we? We couldn't have a computer. We couldn't have any kind of thing that uses electricity, even though the law of electricity has always been around. But as we came to understand how it worked and used it the way it worked, we just go over and turn on the switch when we want a light on, right? We don't even think about where the electricity is coming from and how it was created from coal burning or water running or nuclear force or whatever it might be. So here we are with physical laws, and all of them simply do what they do. So electricity can light a light. It can electrocute a person. And the electricity does not know it's doing that. This is the same as things that operate at the subjective level of our mind. It has instructions and it has all the information to do it, but it doesn't have the power of discernment to make a choice. Now, spiritual laws also exist. We've heard of the law of attraction. We've heard of faith and belief. We've heard of mental equivalence. And all of these come into play when we think about prayer and of putting the teaching into practice, of praying the way that Jesus did and getting results in our lives. How many of you as children wanted to learn to pray as Jesus prayed and get results? I mean, that was a biggie for me. Yeah, and ministers talked about it for me, and they got me partway there. But until I came into this teaching, it was not clear just what we were doing and how we can put it into practice. Okay. So here we are. All natural laws are consistent and impersonal, both physical laws and spiritual laws. All laws are our masters as long as we do not understand them. When we understand them, they become our servants. So the law of aerodynamics, we could see bugs flying for centuries and eons. We could see birds flying, but until the late 1800s, they didn't understand the law of aerodynamics. So the first flight was in the early 20th century. And yet, how many of us doubt that there is a law of aerodynamics when you get on a plane? You know it's there. Coming back from Jamaica, you knew that airplane was going to fly because the scientists had proven the law of aerodynamics and the engineers had put it to work, and they constructed airplanes to carry lots of people in the air, which would have seen a miracle a couple hundred years ago, right? And here we are. We have been created in the image and likeness of God, and we have free choice. Here we are. Our thoughts are creative. Our thoughts and feelings are creative. But if at that subjective level we are making choices that are default choices, or things that our family believed, or things that the human race still believes, that are not even in alignment with truth, we're going to get the results of those thoughts in our lives. This is the reason that even though that perfect source creates perfectly, when it comes to human beings, we've created a lot of things we really wished we hadn't created. And that may be true in our personal lives, and that's true for humanity at large. And so here we are in the teaching of the science of mind, and I consider if you're in this room, you have chosen to get in on a secret that's so important that it can heal the world. Because that's what we're about. Not just doing something for ourselves, but something for our world. And for us to keep our thinking in that affirmative prayer mode is what we need to do. Oops, let me go back one. And the Bible is full of those kinds of stories. I can go back several. Can't I? Because I did something that I went several ahead. Okay, so here's the story of Job in the Old Testament. What was it he said after all those things that were negative were happening in his life? What I feared has come upon me. How many of you in your life have said, what I feared has happened? Did we know that when we feared something strongly, we were helping to create it? And I'm not here to blame any of us today. This is important that we be gentle with ourselves in all of this, because it's been done in ignorance. We did not know. But that strong feeling of fear can actually use the law of attraction to bring what we don't want into our experience of life. And this is why we want to learn to pray affirmatively. In Proverbs it says, as he thinks in his heart, so is he. James Allen wrote several books. He wrote, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And then I think he turned around and wrote, as a woman thinketh in her heart, so is she. Or somebody else wrote that book. It's as we're thinking, we are surrounded by this creative medium that creates, and that combination of our thoughts over a lifetime are creating things for ourselves, for our families, for our world that we would love to change. That's where the magic comes in, right? For us to believe that we're magic. And when Jesus was doing his healing work, he kept talking about how people's faith had made them whole. And the story of the centurion and his servant, these are the words that Jesus said. He said, Jesus said to the centurion, go, it shall be done for you as you have believed. And the servant was healed that very moment. It has been done for you as you have believed. And our founder, Ernest Holmes, shortened that to, it is done unto you as you believe. So this key is to believe. And notice, we're not the one doing the doing. It is done unto us. That law of mind, that law of attraction is doing it, even though it's an invisible thing, as we believe. So it comes through our mental thoughts, our feelings. And as we can learn to control and discipline our thoughts and feelings, we can create what we desire rather than attracting into our life that which we would rather not have, right? And it applies to everything, to our health, to our abundance, to our relationships, to our job, and having a career that we love. It's all related and available to us. Isn't that wonderful? Yay! And Ernest Holmes also had this saying, which was on the Science of Mind magazine for decades: change your thinking, change your life. So through our ignorance of the way the creative process works, we've been creating what we do not want. As we come to understand the way the creative process works, we can choose to consciously create that which we desire rather than that which we would rather avoid. And this is the reason for affirmative prayer. That is what affirmative prayer does. It changes our thinking, our belief, our acceptance. The creative process, the law of mind, now has new input for us to create from. So we can take a look at our life and see what we're creating, and as we understand that, we're laying the foundation. Here's the foundation. These and other things are the qualities of the divine. Peace and harmony and beauty and abundance and divine order and joy, wholeness, wisdom, creative expression, power, all good, light, love. All of these things are, I don't have love up there, do I? My goodness. I'm perfect in my essence, but I also am imperfectly perfect. So put love up there. It goes at the top of the list. Those are all qualities of God. Now, I invite you to take a look at your life and see if there's something you'd like to change. Just mentally think of what that might be. And now flip it 180 degrees and see if there's a quality of God that speaks to it. So, for example, if you've been living a life of lack in any way, notice the quality of God is abundance. Lack is not up there on that list. Abundance is up out there on that list. If there's been a health challenge in your life, notice illness is not on that list, but wholeness is on that list. These are the qualities of God, and love. I won't beat myself up. I will forgive myself. Everything unlike spirit, unlike those qualities that we just talked about, were put there not by spirit, but by thought. Somebody taught us to fear lack in our life, or an accumulation of experiences in our life taught us to think there's not enough to go around. But notice this wonderful phrase: what thought is created, thought can remove. What is it that we have faith in? Do we have faith in lack? Do we have faith in abundance? Do we have faith in illness? Do we have faith in wholeness? If we were to take each of those things that are troubling us, including our world, the truth about war is peace. The spiritual truth is peace. And so that means it's something we can pray about and align our thinking in a structured way to get results. So here we are in the Science of Mind philosophy, Centers for Spiritual Living. We have what's called spiritual tools: affirmations, meditation, visioning, affirmative prayer. And we're talking about affirmative prayer today. So affirmative prayer, or spiritual mind treatment, which is what our founder called it. I know Reverend Cindy's not too fond of that. But if there's a connotation about the word of prayer that speaks to placating an angry God, perhaps we want to use a different word. And this is the reason for treatment and spiritual mind treatment. And what we're going to do is we're going to take some logical steps and go from fear or doubt to faith. That's what a spiritual mind treatment does. It gives us not that many steps, only 5. Couldn't find a picture with just 5 steps. And they're logical steps that we can apply. First of all, we need to state clearly what the purpose of our prayer is. And quite often when someone would come to me for counseling, they knew what they didn't want, but it was not easy for them to articulate what they did want. They were looking at the problem, and they knew what they did not want. So before we begin our affirmative prayer, the very first thing, and this is not one of the steps, this is a precursor to the steps, is to identify what we would pray for. And clearly state that, either audibly or write it down. When I first started to write spiritual mind treatments was in class probably in the late 1980s. And I wrote all my treatments down. And that's a good way to begin. To write down, first of all, you could write down what the problem is, and then flip it 180 degrees. And even if you hadn't up to that moment thought about, well, what it was you really wanted, now is an opportunity for you to take a look at that and jot that down. And then we come to the steps of treatment. Now, I do have a handout for you that has all of these enumerated, and it's actually, no, we're not going to hand it out till I'm done, because I don't want it to distract us. How many of you are taking the Foundations class right now and have the workbook? So you already have these pages, but you can get them again. And they're 4 pages out of the Foundations course. Pardon? It's on the online class. Okay. So picture where we are. We're in a place that's filled with doubt and fear. We've gotten far enough along to say what it is that we want to pray for, expecting a result, because we know we're dealing with an infinite source that can create anything. Spirit created the grain of sand out there if I were out to pick one up, and also creates the sun. Big and little is not meaningful to an infinite creator. And all the power to create anything is available. And isn't it wonderful to think that since the infinite is infinite, it can also be personal to us. If there is no spot where God is not, and God has created us through the mechanism of our being born, through our parents and heredity and so forth, into this world, that what we are, being God in expression, means that who we are is God expressing. But if we don't know that, we don't get the benefit of it. We have to recognize that that is who we are in order for us to express from that place of spirit. That makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, just like Moses didn't know anything about electricity, so he couldn't turn on the light. Now that we're learning these spiritual laws and the truth of being, we get the benefit of it today. Jesus knew who he was. The Father and I are one. Okay, so the very first step in treatment is to recognize the infinite. Recognize that which creates everything, that which is those attributes that we just looked at. That's that very first step. So we might be in a place where what we're dealing with is fear and doubt, but as soon as we turn our attention to the infinite, now what is it that we have available to us? We thought we were on our own, and that the problem was so tough that there was no answer to it. But now if we bring in the infinite, who loves us deeply, loves expressing as us, and we know that that's true, then we are now dealing with the power to fix the problem, to heal our body, to bring peace to the earth. That's that recognition step. And so if we were praying, example, for abundance, let's say we've been living with lack and we wanted that new job, so we were going to pray for abundance, we would, in this very first step, recognize God as abundance. If we were praying for our health situation, in the recognition step, we would recognize spirit as wholeness. We would select the attribute of spirit which corresponded to that for which we're praying. That makes sense, doesn't it? We're putting our attention on what it is we want to bring forth. Because, of course, the infinite is infinite. But these steps give us some direction as to using the law. Okay, that's the first step, is recognition. The next one is unification. This unifies us with that which God is. So wholeness is the truth of being, and wholeness is mine because I am God in expression. I'm unifying. Jesus said the Father and I are one. For us to really realize that, Tracy, you exist because the infinite has chosen to express through you, and you and the infinite are one. Now, what could you pray for that would be beyond the capability of the infinite to create? Nothing, right? And so that's the third step. The third step is realization, and here's where we get specific as to what it is we're praying for. So if it's a new career opportunity, we would pray that we're being attracted to that perfect job that has this wonderful pay coming into us, that we love our work, and we could describe it in ultimate detail as to just what it is that we are claiming for ourselves. Now, those 3 steps are written by Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind textbook. He talks about those 3 steps. 2 more steps have been added in the 50s, which help us get to a place of really accepting what it is we're praying for. So the 4th one is thanksgiving. We could be thankful for all the good that God is giving us, can't we? And we can be thankful for something even before we receive it, which proves to our mentality that we accept it. Now, I ordered something on Amazon this last week, and if it was a person that I ordered it from, I would very likely have thanked them that they're going to send it to me, right? Because I'm accepting that it's coming, and the next day it was here in my mailbox. That Thanksgiving is also creative. It's causative. If we don't give thanks for something, did we really receive it, or are we pushing it away? So that's the 4th step. And the very last step is release. And this is key because we're not the one that's going to make anything happen. It's that creative law that creates everything, so we've got to let it go. It's kind of like we can't plant a seed and keep digging it up to see how it's doing. When we planted it, we got to let it go. We've got to plant it in a good spot where the sun is shining just the right amount, and we water it, but we don't dig it up. How many times when we've been praying do we question it after we've prayed? Yeah, that's human nature. And that's where we use our willpower. We're not using willpower to create or make anything happen, but we do need to use discipline to keep our thoughts, oh, God's handling that. I've prayed about that. God's handling that. And move back to that place of acceptance. Okay? And some keys here. It's always in the present tense. We don't pray of something God is going to do for us. We see it now. And that's because we're working in the infinite where there is no time. And so it's always in the present tense. So when I'm praying, I give thanks that it's already here now. I had workmen working in my house the other day, putting up some fans, and they nicked a wire up in the beam that's part of our great room ceiling, and it shorted out. So instead of just connecting up these fans and walking away and are paying them, they were working pretty hard. He had to take the whole beam apart. And so I thought, you know, what can I do in prayer at this moment? I thought, I can picture all my fans in place and working. This is the kind of thing that we can do with our prayer, is to go beyond it having taken place and seeing it as an accomplished fact. I could imagine that the fan above the dining room table and in the great room and in my bedroom upstairs and on my deck upstairs that needed replacing were all replaced and working and wonderful. I could imagine that in my mentality. I might not get an actual picture of it in my mind, but I knew what that would feel like when it was done. This is what we're talking about when we're always in the present tense. And you know, after I did that, instead of thinking, wow, Joe's having such trouble, it all kind of happened quickly. And the job was finished. How often is that true for our lives? That we get caught up in something. My goodness, here you were in the middle of a hurricane. And it was a Category 4 on the island of Jamaica. Now, people were praying for you, and you were drumming and praying while it was going on, and all I was seeing was you safe after it's over. That was what I was seeing, is the storm had moved through and you were okay. That was what I was praying for, and others were as well. It's that kind of thing of seeing beyond what's currently going on and what our senses tell us about, and what the end result that we desire is already happening. And then this wonderful idea of complete acceptance of it. This is where we cannot doubt, we cannot fear. This is where, if we doubt and fear, now we're planting seeds of doubt and fear. And that's the crop we're going to get, isn't it? So the seed that we plant is the seed of what we desire. And then the technique and the fire. And when you get the handout, we'll talk about the technique and the fire. So we're teaching a technique, these 5 steps of treatment. That's a technique, and we can teach that. And you can learn it as though this morning we're a classroom. But when it comes to the fire, you have to supply that. That is your connection with the divine. That is your knowingness. And you get that through practicing of other spiritual practices, such as meditation, reading spiritual literature, connecting with the divine in nature, whatever works for you, so that when you do your affirmative prayer, there's this upwelling of feeling within you. And you'll hear it when we pray here, that it isn't just words being spoken. There's a feeling, a certainty about it. And that's the fire. Paul wrote in his first letter to the Thessalonians, pray without ceasing. And that's my invitation to all of us this morning, is that we pray without ceasing, to take time every day to see your life the way you wish it to be. No matter what's going on in your life, I invite you to take a step back. Ernest Holmes invites you to take, these are Ernest Holmes' ideas. I didn't give him credit because it's my words. But take time every day to see your life as you wish it to be. Make a mental picture of what it is your ideal is. It could be for that day. It could be for the larger picture. And then, of course, we bring to mind the qualities of God. Whatever those qualities are, between our prayers, we could do affirmations about them, couldn't we? Over the years in my ministry, I've done lots of prayer work around wholeness for people because of health challenges in their lives. And I've done an affirmation of wholeness is the truth of being so long, I wake up saying it. It's what goes along in my head throughout the day. Wholeness is the truth of being. That's just my words of affirming wholeness for others. And I invite us to find the phrases that go with the qualities that we'd especially like to bring forth in our life right now. Maybe this year you want to work on wholeness. Maybe your body is telling you you need to work on wholeness this year. To spend this year on wholeness, and every moment that you can think of it, you keep coming back to the truth of wholeness. That perfect being creates perfectly, and wholeness is the truth of being. And that to even spend some time defining for ourselves what wholeness means is a good idea. These words of Ernest Holmes. I found a picture. I took a picture of some storm clouds last week, and that's this off my backyard. When things look the worst is the best time to work, the most satisfying time. Now, why in the world would Ernest Holmes write that in our Science of Mind textbook? When things look the worst is the best time to work, the most satisfying time. And he goes on to say, the person who can throw himself with a complete abandon into that limitless sea of receptivity is the one who will always receive the greatest reward. When things are troubling, that's not the time to set spiritual mind treatment aside. That's the time to bring it forth, right? And for us to know that in those moments, when the wind was blowing and rocking your house in Jamaica, that was your best time to pray, wasn't it?
I pulled out the drums and drummed.
You drummed, yes. Yes, you were cooperating with the motion of the storm. Yeah. Ah. And to use affirmative prayer for everything, even the little things. If you hear a siren, pray for the people that the ambulances are going toward. When I first came into this teaching, was becoming a practitioner, I was even praying in the middle of movies for the people in the movie. It just was so automatic for me to pray for everything that I was praying for things that had already been written, and pray for everything. And and it's not a selfish thing. This is very key here. And I'd love to tell you, it's not a selfish thing. You can pray for yourself, pray for your family, pray for the city of Ocala, pray for the state of Florida, pray for the United States, pray for the world. And I invite you also to start with little things. You might have something huge right now that you want to pray for, and that's important, and keep working toward that. But then also use it for little things so that you can build your faith. Use it for small things and see the results. And say, yeah, this stuff really works. And it's a gift from Spirit that is wanting to give it to you. Jesus was telling us over and over again, I've come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. This isn't meant to be a secret. The spiritual path is not meant to be a lonely path. Come here, be with spiritual community, support one another, ask for prayer from one another. Allow yourself to be supported by those who love you even before they've met you. And this is this is another tree. Can I go back one, or am I beyond? Okay, this is another tree in my backyard. I call it the tree of the woeful countenance, if you've ever seen Don Quixote, because that's what it looks like to be. So this is my wish for all of you. May you grow in your expression of Spirit's magnificence. Namaste. And here are the handouts. Here are the handouts. Even though I left love off my list.
And as Christina and I believe is handing out the handouts, thank you so much to Reverend Dr. Peggy Hostetler for an amazing talk. Oh my goodness, amazing, amazing. Right? Didn't I tell y'all? Didn't I tell y'all? When she said she was retiring, I was like, no. But wow, 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 wow. Thank you so much. You just have a way of putting it. And so Joyful Expressions is going to be doing something today that is a blend of something that I love as an energy musician, which is calling that which is nature into our presence and into our space, and being able to join Mother Gaia in the sound bath, because it's always happening. Right now it's happening. Whether or not your ears can hear it, the eternal sound bath is happening outside this building. Just a mechanism, just the sound of the roaring back there in the refrigerator is part of that sound bath. And so we invite you to join us as Joyful Expression gets into this. And another thing I'd like to point out is that great-grandmother drum is now in our presence. It's now part of our sound bath as a gift from a native friend of ours. Jay Perrette is currently experiencing some health challenges in the hospital. And so the way it works in the native world is that the drum is passed on to the next drum keeper. And so grandmother and great-grandmother has been gifted to Your Phoenix is Rising and CSL Ocala to help to uplift that. So as she is playing today, the powwow drum calls the energy of Mother Gaia, of the earth, and the healing of our community and of our nation and of our humanity. And at this time, I'd like to do that drum blessing. And thank you so much, Jay. I recognize the power and presence that exists and moves in our wonderful planet. Thank you so much for being present with us always, for holding us. Thank you so much to those indigenous cultures who came before us, who stood on this land and held this in time and space. Thank you to those cultures still suffering and experiencing atrocities still. Thank you for the ebb and flow of the essence of humanity as we learn to rise together in love and unity. Aho. Holy Mother, Father God, thank you for your healing love. Holy sacred life divine, thank you for this life of mine. Here I go. Whoa, I am grateful for the air I breathe. Whoa, I am grateful for the life in me. Whoa, I am grateful to be renewed. Whoa, I am grateful for gratitude, grateful for gratitude, grateful for gratitude. And being here with you today makes me come alive to say we are presence, we are part of the one infinite heart. This I know. I am grateful for the air I breathe. Whoa, I am grateful for the life in me. Whoa, I am grateful to be renewed. Whoa, I am grateful for gratitude, grateful for gratitude, grateful for gratitude. And you're a gift upon this earth of truly unbelievable worth. So bring it, sister, brother, to magnificence is calling on you. Say hello. Whoa, I am grateful for the air I breathe. Whoa, I am grateful for the life in me. Whoa, I am grateful to be renewed. Whoa, I am grateful for gratitude, grateful for gratitude, grateful for gratitude. I am grateful for the air I breathe, grateful for the air I breathe, grateful for the life in me, grateful for the life in me, grateful to be renewed, grateful to be renewed, grateful for gratitude, grateful for gratitude, grateful for gratitude, grateful for gratitude. Oh. Music as medicine. Thank you guys so much. And this team, we had an audition last week, and so if anybody would like to join us and you said, oh man, I missed the audition, please come see Norma as team lead for Joyful Expressions. She will get you plugged in, and we will gladly take you, and you can be a part of this expression. And you know, the thing about it is that for years I said, I'm not a musician. And then I met this wonderful woman called Karen Drucker. Y'all know Karen, right? And girlfriend looked at me and said, honey, if you sing, you're a musician. And I thought, yes. And she's like, your instrument. So I'd like to invite you to know that you are all drummers right now, joining us, percussionists, because your heart is going dum, the dum, the dum. We are the music of the earth. Sometimes we're aware of it and sometimes we're not. But thank you for reminding us today. And thank you guys so much for doing that. I'm going to be inviting them again to come back and do another song. At the very end, Ancestors, and you guys are, welcome to join us on that song. And at this time, I would like to ask Aaron, if before we celebrate our abundance, actually let's celebrate and then do that, Aaron. Okay, so celebrate our abundance. This part where we get to plug our essence into divine energy that is abundance, the law of giving and receiving. We are tapping into that spiritual law right now. And those of us who give and practice tithing, which is that 10% of our good going back into spiritual food, if you will, where you get your spiritual food, you apply your 10%. And some people it's here, some people it's other places. I've had people tithe to Phoenix. I've had people tithe to me because I sang that day and something happened for them. Wherever you get spiritual food and you apply your funds and any good that comes to you, not just the good of your money, but the good of your food itself. Wilma, where's Wilma? Oh my goodness, where is she? Girlfriend is, girl, Wilma has been plugging this in and using this teaching with her gift of food and nourishing our bodies. How amazing is that? Those who give their energy, their physical energy, and show up here and pull weeds and cut up. Where's the GGs? Where's the GGs? Raise your hand, man. When you guys go out in that garden, the work, physical, GGs, man, the GGs, the Green Guardians are out there just loving on this land, and this land is loving on them. And the indigenous cultures that came before you that loved on that land are probably just shouting and jumping all around you, saying, thank you so much. So we celebrate our abundance in so many different ways. And so I invite you to look at this affirmation, take it in, and know that you're doing it right now, creating carbon dioxide. That's you. Putting it out there into the world, just creating right now. And so let us do this affirmation together. It is the nature of life to give of itself, and it is the tree's nature to bear fruit, and the flower's nature to bloom. It is my nature to share the gifts of my time, talent, and treasure. I participate in the divine flow of life, giving generously and receiving abundantly. I am blessed, and I am a blessing. I am grateful, and so it is. And I invite you now that as you are giving your gifts, Pam has the prayer requests here. If you need a slip to just kind of write something down that's on your heart that you're like, oh my goodness, I'm going to need a little bit of extra oomph behind this, because by myself, I can't seem to get this manifestation going. Like peace on earth, it's a big thing. So write it down. And we have wonderful practitioners, ministers, Reiki masters, all kinds of people that are in different modalities, all lending their energy to help boost you and uplift you so that you may have that manifestation. And of course, live your very best lives, because that's what we are about. So I really, really appreciate everybody on the wellness team. It is in the background. Every time I hear somebody online, on Facebook, they put something out, oh my God, this is happening. On the chat, if you're not in the messenger chat, let us know if you'd like to be a part of that. Lots of chattering goes on in there to keep you connected while you're in your other world. And I invite you to know that this right here, this feeling is the actual world, the coming to yourself. And when you step into whatever the conditioning was, or whatever that which is your world, you know that you have this as the base of who you are, going out there and doing what you do. And also, if you're online, thank you so much for all the times that you have given via PayPal. We have people tithing from different countries. It's wonderful. This place exists because of the givingness of everyone. And so I'm so grateful for all of that. And at this time, I invite you to just take a moment with me to bless our tithes and offerings. I recognize the allness that is abundance, that amazing thing that's always giving to me. Every single day, another sunrise, another sunset. Every single day, another cell created every single moment. I am a part of that which is abundance. My hair is growing as we speak. The next heartbeat is assured. I am so grateful for all of this in my life. I'm also grateful for the tithes and offerings and everything that anybody puts as hands or energy into this place. I am so grateful for that. I'm also grateful for all the prayer requests, knowing that the answer already is embedded in the question itself. And we are holding this, the high watch for the manifestation to unfold because we know it's happening in divine mind. I am so grateful for this teaching. I'm grateful for today's message, and I'm grateful for every single life that is in this room, every life that's ever come upon this planet, every life that will continue to happen. I'm grateful to be a part of the essence that is the one. I release it now knowing that it's already done in divine mind, and so it is. Amen. And so, before our announcement, I'm inviting our wonderful Aaron, who came up here and sang that song so beautifully, to do a spiritual mind reading from the Science of Mind magazine. And the reason we are bringing this to the forefront of your mind is this magazine, I think, has both July and October, so yay, saving papers. But it has readings for every single day. And it's a way to kind of bring yourself back to the teaching. So if this appeals to you and you really, really want to do this, we have lots of copies in the bookstore. Grab a copy on your way out. And if it works for you, sign up for a monthly subscription. It shows up and it gets delivered. Yes.
Thank you, Donna. So today's reading, I couldn't have failed without you. So this first quote is from Roberto Benigni. It's a sign of mediocrity when you demonstrate gratitude with moderation. And from Ernest Holmes, the power in you is you. 2 years into my ministry, I saw myself as a failure. I started a Sunday gathering designed for younger people and agnostics at the Improv Comedy Club at the Spectrum Mall in Irvine, California. We experienced some mixed success, but the endeavor left me broke. Apparently, hosting a church for the unchurched isn't the best business model. My vision had not been realized. I toasted a friend and board member at an Irish pub. Thank you. I couldn't have failed without you. Months later, I was working as an assistant minister and was still down on myself. I was reading Viktor Frankl, and God said through him to me, don't aim at success. The more you aim at it and make it a target, the more you are going to miss. For success, like happiness, cannot be pursued. It must ensue. And so it only does so as the unintended side effect of one's personal dedication to a cause greater than oneself, or as the byproduct of one's surrender to a person other than oneself. I took my vision board down and decided to focus only on doing a good job at being a minister that day. God, I just want to do a good job and serve as many people as possible. It wasn't long before I was called by Reverend Dr. Peggy Price to Seal Beach, California, where I served 7 years. Then came a call from Roger Teal to serve at Mile High. Today, as I rise, I have one focus: to do a good job. God can take care of the rest. And today's affirmation: today, I focus on doing whatever is before me to the best of my ability. I let God take care of the rest.
And so it is. Thank you so much, Erin. So that's a great affirmation, right? To be able to like, today's affirmation is this. I'll just let God do the rest. I love it because we were having a moment a while back where I was getting evicted that day. I don't know if you remember when they showed up and they were changing the locks on our doors and told us that we couldn't enter the house. And I was like, oh my gosh, all our stuff is in there. And the police was like, get your medication and your animals. This house now belongs to the bank. And we were renters. And I called Reverend Peggy because normally my anxiety would have taken me down a whole nother path. And I called Reverend Peggy, and Reverend Peggy said, oh, this is a moment to put the teaching into action. And I thought, okay, because of course I'm like ready to freak out. And she goes, I want you to say, it'll be interesting to see how Spirit works this out. and step with that affirmation. And for that whole day, it'll be interesting to see. Every time something came up, that's interesting. Instead of freaking out, I went into interesting. And then I started stepping into observer, like I was watching a movie unfold. And I knew that I was carried. And it was interesting how Spirit worked it out. And we stepped into a better home, same price, much closer into town, closer to everything, and perfectly designed for us. And I would have never been able to see that coming. And I thought, aha. I've had to say that to Spirit several times, aha, I see what you did there. So at this time, I'm asking for another one of our performers. Where is Christina? Oh, I think she might be in the back with the children, so I was going to have her do the announcements for us. How many people here gets the monthly newsletter on email? If you do not get that newsletter, please sign up for the monthly newsletter. If it has not come into your purview yet, please let us know so that we can figure out what's wrong with that email address to make sure you get it. If you're online, please sign up for that newsletter on our website, and our team, our social media marketing team in the background there, they're the ones that put together that that monthly newsletter. So thank you so much who volunteer in the background. You know, you see these beautiful PowerPoint slides show up by magic. It's wonderful. All right, so Christina, thank you so much. She is now going to do our announcements for events.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be up here and being able to see everybody's beautiful, smiling faces. So the first thing we have coming up this weekend is on Saturday, yes. We're having an evening drum circle. This is in remembrance of a member of our CSL group here that recently passed, and we are remembering him with two of his favorite things to do, which was karaoke and cards at Your Phoenix is Rising. It's the 20th, this Saturday at 7 p.m. And it's potluck. And there's not an address up there, but it's 2014 East Silver Springs Boulevard. We need volunteers. We were just mentioning the GGs. She was saying that's our green guardians. There's the people that work on our grounds and make it beautiful. We're having a work day coming up on the 27th, which is also a Saturday, at 10 a.m. So we're going to be moving and leveling the mulch for our parking lots. So anybody that would like to join us and help with that will be here. Yeah, come hand out water. Not. Nice. Popsicles. So the next Sunday, the following Sunday, is Circle Sunday. The Power of Prayer is what it's called. And I'm going to be facilitating that. We're going to be in a big circle and then split off into some smaller circles and have some really good, interesting conversations about what we've been learning about all month about affirmative prayer. Our Psychedelics, Dreams, and Rituals with Galen Grigas, the book that she wrote, wonderful, wonderful therapeutic book. She has been walking us through that every month for the fourth Sunday of the month. And the title of this one is Dream Revelations, What Do They Mean? And that's our final Sunday of this month. We, as we mentioned, need volunteers for more than just the grounds. If you can have any desire to volunteer for anything, we can find a spot. I promise you, from the smallest thing, it doesn't have to have a huge amount of your time. It can be based completely on what's comfortable for you. Please see Cole Diaz in the back. He's one of our tech people, and he's our volunteer coordinator. Now we're gonna bless our children. Looks like they're here. Yay! Woo! Come on up, guys. Come on up, kids. Autumn, come see me. Hey, baby.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine,
All right, all right. And this is the part where we get a chance to recognize our youngest members here and bring them to the forefront, because usually they're in the back hanging around or chattering around in the background. But we want to see the perfection of who we are coming into this human journey, and to remind ourselves of who we are. And you know there's a 90-year-old woman in this form already. She just hasn't made herself known yet, right? Or however old she may grow to be, it's already there. And how great it is that there is a little tiny person inside of me that was one at some point, and that person's still there. And so we honor that. And so I invite you to rub your hands together. We do this because it's an intention thing, you know, and they see us doing something physical here. You want to do it too, babe? All right, and now you're going to beam it at them, all the energy in the world, and say together, we honor you. We see your light. May it shine on all that you do. And so it is. And just beam it right back at yourself now. Come on now, do it in here, because you got to recognize that little person in there. Do that inner child work. I honor you. I see your light. May it shine on all that we do. And so it is. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Yay, guys. There was coloring and stuff going on back there. All kinds of fun stuff. And they were even out here today and did a great job of holding it down. It's not easy to hold all that power in that tiny little form, you know? So, you know, Aladdin even says it, man. Awesome cosmic power. Itty-bitty living space. That is us in a nutshell. All right. And so this last song we're going to be doing is a song called Ancestors. And so I invite you to get up and move around and dance if you are so moved. And we're going to do the prayer of protection together first, and then go into Ancestors. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Have a wonderful week, you guys. Keep on dancing, keep on singing, keep on being the beautiful, beautiful light that you are in the world. I appreciate y'all. See you next week.
Sky above, earth below, fire within me, this I know. Wind and water, sand and time, live and breathe and beat this heart of mine. Live and breathe and beat this heart of mine. this heart of mine. Angels and ancestors are watching over me. We're a chain of survivors breaking free. I call on those who've come before and those who've yet to be. And I believe that they believe in me. Earth below, fire within me. This I know. Wind and water, sand and time, live and breathe and beat this heart of mine. Live and breathe and beat this heart of mine. Live and breathe and beat this heart of mine. Live and breathe and beat this heart of mine. Live and breathe and beat this heart of mine.